The Battle of al-Bab was a battle for the city of al-Bab in the Aleppo Governorate that included a military offensive launched by Syrian rebel groups, including groups affiliated with the Free Syrian Army and the Turkish Armed Forces north of al-Bab, a separate Syrian Democratic Forces (SDF) offensive east and west of the city, and another Syrian army offensive from the south of the city. The northern Turkish-led forces intended to capture al-Bab from the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, ISIL, as part of the Turkish military intervention in Syria. By the end of the battle, the Turkish-led forces had captured al-Bab, Kabasan, and Biza, while the Syrian army captured Tadef and other areas further south, with the SDF making gains further to the east and the west. The battle was concurrent with the other anti-ISIL operations, including the Raqqa offensive launched by the SDF, the Battle of Mosul launched by the Iraqi forces, and the Palmyra offensive, which was successfully conducted by ISIL against Syrian government forces. Background. Main articles. Northern al-Bab offensive, Western al-Bab offensive, 2016 Dabaq offensive, and Western al-Bab offensive. After the Western al-Bab offensive the previous month, the rebels moved their focus from the western countryside of al-Bab so to avoid confrontation with the Syrian Democratic Forces, and launched an assault against the Islamic State north of al-Bab. The offensive. Northern rebel attack repelled. Between 6 and the 14th of November 2016, the rebels captured 36 villages. On the 14th of November, rebel forces managed to enter the northern outskirts of al-Bab, but were facing stiff resistance, with fighting raging at a livestock market 2 kilometers north of the town. The Turkish military stated on the 18th of November that the FSA had captured 5 villages in the Karadag area of al-Rai district. On the 19th of November, ISIL recaptured Kabasan, as well as one nearby village. This marked the 4th time the town had changed hands in the previous 4 days. Western and Eastern Encirclement of al-Bab. On the 23rd of November, the SDF captured Arima. In response, Turkish artillery shelled the SDF-held villages in the area. On the 24th of November, according to the Turkish military, the Syrian Arab Air Force conducted an airstrike against Turkish Special Forces and Turkish Free Syrian Army (TFSA), aligned Turkish-backed rebels north of al-Bab, killing 3 Turkish soldiers and injuring 10. Between 25 and the 27th of November, the SDF captured 2 villages from ISIL west of al-Bab, while the rebels took 3 to the east. Additionally, the rebels launched an attack on 2 SDF-held villages east of the city, with unclear results. At the same time, pro-government forces also advanced, taking control of 4 villages from ISIL to the west of al-Bab. On the 28th of November, the Syrian army captured a village from the Turkish-backed rebels west of al-Bab, coming within 5 kilometers of the city. Offensive slows. On the 2nd of December, the rebels were ordered not to advance on the center of the city for the time being. The rebels captured 2 villages west of al-Bab in a fresh assault on the 9th of December, in addition to part of the highway between al-Bab and Manbij. Meanwhile, 300 Turkish commandos were sent as reinforcement. The Turkish military dropped leaflets on al-Bab on the 12th of December, urging civilians to seek shelter as the rebels advanced. Turkish-led attack from the west repelled. On the 21st of December, the rebels gained control of a part of the highway between al-Bab and Aleppo. Despite the losses, President of Turkey Recep Tayyip Erdogan stated on the 23rd of December that the operation to capture al-Bab was almost complete and that the FSA would capture the city soon. Russian air support for Turkey. On the 26th of December, Pro-Syrian government sources reported that the Russian Air Force directly backed the Turkish army for the first time since the start of the Russian intervention in Syria. However, despite Su-24 and Su-34 bombers carrying out airstrikes against ISIL fighters, Turkish-backed rebel forces were unable to maintain control over newly captured areas. A Turkish official stated on the 29th of December that the Russian Air Force had hit ISIL in al-Bab for the first time, carrying out airstrikes against it in the southern part of the city. He also added that Turkish forces were assaulting the northern and western parts of the city. Between 2 and 3 January, both Turkish and Russian airstrikes hit ISIL targets in the al-Bab area. Turkish-backed rebel assault from the east and Syrian army assault from the south. After failing to penetrate al-Bab from the north or west, rebel and Turkish forces started assaults from the east. A local media activist claimed the Syrian army and its allies launched an offensive to take al-Bab on the 15th of January, using the Kuwairs military airbase as a launch pad for attacks on Tadef and Abu Jabbar to the south of the city. On the 17th of January, the Syrian army launched an assault led by its Tiger forces, capturing a village to the south of the city. The Syrian army and its allies captured 7 villages to the southwest of al-Bab between 22 and 23 January. On the 25th of January, the Syrian army captured Shala village, as well as the Shala radar base. On the 1st of February, the Turkish-backed rebels captured 2 villages to the southwest of al-Bab, cutting the main road between the city and Aleppo from another side in front of the recent advances by pro-Syrian government forces who had come with 7 kilometers. Meanwhile, SA also captured a village to the south of Kuwairs Air Base. On the 3rd of February, UN Secretary-General Stefan Dujarric estimated that around 30,000 civilians had fled al-Bab, and that 10,000 still remained inside of the city. On the 4th of February, the rebels captured Biza. Turkish-backed forces enter al-Bab, Syrian army reaches southern outskirts. During the night of the 7th of February, Turkish forces and rebels launched an assault at al-Bab, capturing several strategic hills and breaking into the city. On the 10th of February, the Syrian army captured Abu Talda village to the south of the city, putting them within 5 kilometers of the city. Later on the same day, it was reported that Turkish-backed forces had captured the Tadef roundabout, to the northwest of the town of Tadef, effectively cutting off the Syrian army from al-Bab. On the 12th of February, Turkish President Erdogan said that Turkish troops and their allies had entered the center of al-Bab and had captured the most important point, the hospital hill. He added that establishing full control of the town was a matter of time. On the 12th of February, the Syrian army redirected their efforts from al-Bab into an offensive northeast of Kuwairs Air Base. Between 13 and the 17th of February, Turkish sources made multiple claims of large advances within al-Bab itself. According to a report by Hurriyet Daily News, the Turkish-backed rebels had captured 40% of al-Bab's city center. Turkish-backed forces capture al-Bab. The rebels, backed by Turkish forces, launched another attack on the 20th of February, advancing in the western part of the city. On the 23rd of February 2017, Turkish and rebel forces launched another attack on al-Bab and reportedly seized most of the city, with Turkish Defense Minister Fikri Isaac announcing they were in near complete control. However, street battles were still ongoing, with sources stating ISIL still controlled more than half of the city. Aftermath. On the 24th of February, an ISIL suicide bomber killed over 50 people and wounded 70 more in the village of Sousian, to the northwest of al-Bab. Later in the day, another explosion was heard in the same village. with casualties rising to at least 68. Meanwhile, between 24 and the 25th of February, Syrian government forces continued their advances southeast of al-Bab, capturing multiple villages. After the end of the battle, some of the remaining civilians reported that ISIL had moved people around in the city as human shields, that ISIL had set up checkpoints and turned back anyone who tried to leave, and that they often chased people out of their homes in order to hide there. They also reported that they didn't leave because they feared the ISIL forces, and because ISIL had mined the city before they left.